what I was planning to do is to give recognition and take nourishment from the Quran in where it unveils and exposes this idea, this reality, which is that reality which we are constantly reliant upon and which is sustaining us in every way. So I want to begin today with Surah Al-Baqarah. Often, the Surah Al-Baqarah is considered a Medina surah, and what that means is, for those of you who may not know, the Quran is split up in two types of surahs. One is the Medinan surahs, and then there's the Meccan surahs. The Meccan surahs were when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had emerged, the wahi had come to him, the revelation, and he was in a vibrant, although he was always vibrant and remains vibrant, but at that time there was no formulations of prayer and orders of fasting. There was just an incredible effulgence of haqiqi light, of the light of the wahda wal wajud, the presence and the hudur of Allah only. And everybody who came around him was completely bowled over and mesmerized, if they had an open heart, by the luminosity of his being. And so the surahs that first came out were very powerful. They're mostly about Tawheed, about cutting through the wahm of and the illusion of this creation. And it talks about the essence of Allah, the oneness of Allah, that our entire life is predicated upon Allah. Qul huwallahu ahad. Amazing surah, small but dense. It's so interesting in the Qul huwallahu ahad. Why do you say the Qul? This is an order from Allah. Allah says Qul. Then why do we have to repeat that order? It is the secret. One of the secrets of that one ayah is that the order and the one where the order comes from and the one who is ordered to do it are the same. This comes from the inner light of the ruh, which is bil amri rabbi, connected to the source of all things. So it was intense at that time. Surah Al-Baqarah was considered a Medinan surah. But here's the interesting thing. If you read the Quran with the eye of Tawheed, you're looking to the Quran to guide you back, so to speak, to your essence, to your inner reality, to your that, to your essence, which is what remains when everything vanishes. As Allah says in the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Kullu ban alayha fan, wa yabka wajhu rabbika dhul jalali wal ikram. Everything vanishes. Everything is in a state of annihilation except the wajh, the face, the essence, the manifestation of Allah's attributes and his being. So in Surah Al-Baqarah, it begins with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Then it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. So mostly this is translated as this book. So it becomes an association of the Mus'haf, the actual book itself, the printed book. But how can you have ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ, that there's no doubt in it, if it's something printed by man? So the inference here is that this book is actually, the word dhalika means that book. It gives a sense of something other than what you're holding in your hand. Because what you're holding in your hand is Mus'haf, is the printed book. The reality of the Quran, which is the uncreated word of Allah, because it's from Allah and he is not created by anyone. So his speech is connected directly to his essence, which is uncreated. It means that book, it means this is indicating the book, the living book, Allah's al-Hayy, Allah is the Al-Hadi. He is the Muttasawwir. So it refers to something which is beyond what you're holding in your hand. It refers to something which is living within you, living without you, living in a pervasive, eternal way. So it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ. You can't have any doubt in that, because that is not subject to time and space. It's not subject to change. It's the ever constant within you. So ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. In it, in that reality, in that unchanging nur ala nur that Allah has manifested in the heart, in that is where the guidance comes from. Guidance is a living reality of Allah that doesn't begin and end in one place or another. It is because it's connected to the Dhat of Allah, the essence of Allah, it is ever constant. So in every moment is full of His Hidayah. So now what's happened? We have said that it's that book, so we've entered into this state of referencing a book which is alive and dynamic within us. And when we recognize that, we know that in that's no doubt, because it comes from Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not from a book or a written word or anything which is changeable. And then he says, فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Let me come back to the ayah before. فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Muttaqin. Now what is muttaqin? Muttaqi. Taqi, or comes, the root here is also taqwa. Normally, taqwa is translated as fearing Allah, or afraid of Allah. In some, they say conscious of Allah, which is much closer. So the person who has no doubt, and then when that no doubt is present in that transcendent hidayah, who is that person? How does that person qualify for this to happen? Is a person who is muttaqi, a person who has taqwa. Taqwa is the key to this revelation. What is taqwa? It means that you are consciously aware of this hidayah. You're aware that you are walking on a thin line between that which is you are trying to realize what Allah is guiding you to from your inner voice, from your inner truth, and that which comes to you from your relative and conditioned self. You walk with one step is khawf, and the other step is raja, hope and fear. Hope and fear. Hope because you know that without a doubt that Allah Azza wa Jal is the sustainer and is the reliable and the one behind everything. And fear because you don't want to step out into a road where it diverts you, distracts you from that dhikr Allah. So in this first ayah, Allah starts to describe the potential for the human experience, the potential for the human life to evolve. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ الْغَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Now this is interesting. Is that person who has iman in the ghaib. What is ghaib? Ghaib means the unseen. It's interesting that the first chapter of the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal had ordered this to be formulated so that it is been put together by Imam Ali. Some say the Prophet ﷺ directed it. Some say Imam Ali had put it together this way, and it's been used this way ever since, divinely inspired to be put in this way. That before anything else, before Allah instructs this hidayah to come in the form of salat or or anything else, it first qualifies you as someone who alladina yu'minuna bil ghaib, the unseen. So here, the unseen is a leap of consciousness. This is where you expand beyond the sensory. You have in you a inner sense called the hiss al-mushtarik, the combined self. You have inner senses that if you combine it, it indicates a greater meaning, other than just what you see with your eyes, your hands, your feeling, your smell, your touch. The ghaib is a sense that you have around you, within you, about you, in this universal reality, in this transcendent reality, which is present. If you just, people who just live with the idea, who live within the conditions of conditional self or the relative self, they are caught in a context of sensory. So and that will only bring about utter disappointment. Because no matter what one has in the terms of what the senses provide, it is also infani. Man alayha fan, wa yabqa wajhu rabbika. Is the nature of it to be vanishing from you. So whatever it is that you put your life into, or your attention into, when it comes to do with the senses, how much can you have until it shows you that it's not going to give you that happiness? It's not going to give you access to joy. It's not going to make you content. It's going to feed your discontentment, because the entire world, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that the mouth of the mouth of Adam will never be fulfilled. The heart of Adam will until his mouth is filled with sand. So our being is designed so that we desire beyond what our senses are providing, beyond all of this, so that Allah says to us to qualify again for being a muttaqi, for the guidance from Allah, as it says before in this last ayah, alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaib. Now, after he says that, now he says, okay, once you have this package, you have recognized that book, which is the foundational essence of all things, the sustainer, where it emerged from the sustainer of all things, the source of all things, that in that is no doubt. What a state that is. To imagine, use your imagination, be in no doubt. La ghaib, that there is no doubt in that, because it's not subject to time and space. Fihi hudan lil muttaqin. And that's where the guidance comes. What a joyful, incredible reality to be a muttaqi and hear and see and experience Allah's hidayah, and know that all of that is coming to you from beyond your senses, beyond your little world of womb of time and space that Shaykh Fadullah speaks to so much. And all after that, then Allah Azza wa Jal says, bil ghaib wa yuqimuna as-salata wa mimma razaqnahum yunfikun. And this is incredible. He says that after all of that, when you've gained that haqq within you, you are relatively in taqwa. You know that you don't know. You know that the unseen is greater, that we just see the tip of the iceberg of existence. That beyond that which we perceive is a world vaster than we can imagine. Then what happens? We establish the salat. The salat is then the key to maintain and reflect and to perpetuate this state of belief in the unseen, to being muttaqi, to being guided. You enter into the action where you involve your entire sensory array, your body, your mind, your heart, in a mithal, in a metaphor of salat that contains all of these things. So it reminds you in in a visceral and complete way, addressing every part of you, that you are Allahu Akbar. Allah is beyond time and beyond space. That Subhana Rabbil Azim, when you bend in ruku, what is happening? You're bending to the awesome unseen that is beyond you. You recognize the celestial realities that are way beyond you. You enter into sajda. And what is sajda? Sajda is Subhana Rabbil A'la, which is entering into annihilation. There is only that, only Allah Azza wa Jal. And then after you stay in that station, you come up again, because we're alive. We're relative beings. We still have our senses. We're still in this body. So we emerge. And when we emerge, we say, Astaghfirullah. Why do we? Because it's only in that relative state that you make actions that may not be correct. So you ask Allah to cover you. When you say Astaghfirullah, it doesn't mean Allah forgive me. It means Allah cover me from the result of my own failings, of my own, because you are constant and forever and I am not, and we are not. And then you come up and you stand up like the Aleph, the beginning again, and you go through the cycles. So you become the living exemplar of these elements. And that's why it's so important to pray. The 5 times salat that we do coincide with celestial movement from the earthly perspective. You know, we have to, if you entertain the idea that the salat is merely just a ritual practice that you owe because somebody or Allah asked you to do it, you're missing it entirely. The salat is your cockpit to foreverness, your road to taskiyat al-nafs, to purification of the self, to being and emulating the reality that is stamped within you, to commune with the dhat or the ruh within you, which is bil amri rabbi. That is what the salat is about. 5 times a day, connected to the movement of the earth and the sun and the celestial spheres, so that you don't have a small mind. You reach out 5 times a day to the universe. You look up at the sky. You look at the moon. You take the celestial water and seal yourself in the preparation to be in front of Kaaba. What's Kaaba? Bayt Allah. What is your heart? Bayt Allah. When you enter into that salat and you are entering into the facing Qibla, it is 2 mirrors facing. And these are perfect mirrors in the best way. And what happens in 2 mirrors facing it? It goes on forever. You're entering into foreverness. So this is the path that Allah Azza wa Jal has imprinted in us, in this tiny little earth. Imagine that if you went 2.5 or even 1 light year away, and you in a rocket ship, and you turned around and you tried to see this world, you wouldn't find it. It would be a speck of dust amongst billions, hundreds of billions, uncountable billions of dust. So, but in that, that is a great metaphor, a great mithal, that in the very speck of the earth, and in the very even smaller speck of our existence, is the entire knowledge of the entire universe. The presence of the reality, which is the creator and the sustainer and the source of the entire universe, which is your ruh. You have in you a spark of the source of light, which is within you. It's shattering to think about it in this way. And then Allah says, after وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَا, and here's really a beautiful sort of capping on these three ayahs. He says, وَمِمَا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And from this provision, Allah's given you this rizq, you give out. So here is one of the most important formulas to keep in your mind and in your heart. That is that all of this is given to you as a gift. It is, the entire thing is a gift. Beyond, you didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. It is the reality that is stamped within us. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. That when you have that risk, what do? You pass it on. You give it out. يُنْفِقُونَ. You complete yourself that way. So when you have this gift, Allah's opened this up in you, and to make you complete as a human being, you become the representative, the Khalifa of that light. This is the formula in the first three ayahs of Surah Al-Baqarah regarding who you are, what is possible for you. The resultant is that you become abduhu, which is that you have been given this as an abd and as a giver wa rasulu. You become this, you live that dichotomy. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was abduhu wa rasulu, meaning he was totally in submission to this and gripped by this. In total, he was a reflector of it, and therefore he completed the circuit and was able to be an exemplar, a khalifa, and shared this in the most optimum way from everyone around him and through to this moment now. We are challenged here by these first three ayahs of the Quran to become and emulate this structured reality, this image that Allah is mirroring to us to indicate to us that this is what our potential is. So in this month of Ramadan, when we are limiting the senses and we're pulling back from the urges of our desires, our hawa, then we're constricting all of those things which are sensory and habitual. And when you do that, automatically, there is a equal and opposite reaction within our being. And that is that our inner opens up. Now, when your inner opens up, you also have it in your hand to fill it up with more junk. And a lot of people do that. There's a tendency that we want to, the nafs is in such a design that it doesn't like to know, it doesn't want to know that it has an end, that it's not real, that it wants to be acknowledged as the source of who you are. So when you restrict the self and the conditioned self, the relative self in such a way, and you have these inner, you're more faced with shaitan. This is when also shaitan does a lot of his work. The first 10 days of Ramadan, we have a lot of issues with thoughts and being compelled in certain directions, force of habit. But when we start entering into the middle and to the end, that is when the Prophet ﷺ said that in the last 10 days of Ramadan, your shaitan is locked up. Because if you did it right, with this intention, then you've recognized the whispering of shaitan. Because why? Because you're aware, you're awake, you're in consciousness, you're in the moment, you're at the door, you're guarding the heart, you're looking with the inner eye. So shaitan is locked up. And at that, you are able then to be that being which is reflected in these first three ayahs. And the first receiver of your وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ is yourself. We put ourselves right. We put our own home, our house within us right. When we do that, then everything will be right. If we don't do that for ourselves, we can't do it for anybody else. So this is the challenge, and this is the incredible effulgence in just these 3 ayahs. If you look with the eye of Tawheed and enter into the Quran as a manual, however you want to look at it, a manual, a mirror, a inner voice that's reflecting in a coded message, however it is that makes you enter into this, to the depth of it, then you will have nothing other than delight and light, not only in this month, but inshallah, afterwards. The Quran is full of this, but mostly it's read or understood in this way. And that's the way it is. We don't want to change. Often it takes this, there's 2 things that happen in our lives. Either we come to Allah, to this realization, through Allah's Jalal, or through His Jamal. His Jamal is through beauty. It means beauty. So it means of love, the way of Rumi. The way of Rumi and Shams al-Tabriz. The Sufi sort of way is the way of love. So you evoke the Jamal. You evoke it because you want to come as a lover. You want to become a lover of Allah. You want to become obsessed with who you love. So you can fulfill this idea that Rumi probably puts out there so much in so many of the Urafa and Awliya Allah and our Anbiya and our Mursaleen, all this, that you enter into so much, the love is overwhelming that the lover and the beloved, where's the difference now? If love is the overwhelming reality between the so-called 2, then there's no more 2. There's only 1. So this is the way of Jamali. And then Jalali is what most of us often do experience, is you are brought by Allah's majesty to hit your knees. Your life, you get sick. Your family's ripped out from under you. You lose your job, you lose a leg, whatever it is that Allah's mercy manifests, so that you examine who you are. Why is this happening to me? Well, there's a reason. It's a wake-up call. Allah is forever Tawwab Rahim. Allah is often turning and merciful to the specificity of each of His creation, of every human being in a unique way. So everything that happens to you is by Allah, in Allah, for you to turn. So these are the 2 ways. There's much more obviously in this, and inshallah we'll take next time, if there is a next time, we'll take 2 or 3 more ayahs further on. And if everybody could be, if we do have this again, to be ready next time, I want to go into the first few ayahs of Surah Ar-Rahman, because this also lays out this entire pattern, beginning with Ar-Rahman Allama al-Quran. Just have a look at that before we meet again. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayr al-maghdubi alayhim wa ad-dallin. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun ala mursaleen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Now, everyone, inshallah, sit comfortably, be at ease. The light of Allah is already within you. There's nothing to acquire. There's nowhere to go. Everything you need and everything that you would desire is already there. Let your mind go. Your mind is your worst enemy. Could be a good friend too, but it's often your worst enemy. Let it go so that the nur within your heart, you are becoming aware of that internal light, internal silence. La ilaha illallah, 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 la ilaha La ilaha illallah, 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 la hey hey هو الحي حي 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. بسم الله بسم الله بسم الله الله نور السماوات والأرض الله 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 الله